In just 31 seconds, Jasmine Crockett delivered a verbal knockout punch so devastating that it sent shockwaves through the halls of Congress and left President Donald Trump visibly shaken on live television. What secret about Eric Trump did she expose that caused such an explosive reaction? The morning of March 15th started like any other routine congressional hearing. The House Judiciary Committee chamber buzzed with the usual pre-hearing chatter as members took their seats. Jasmine Crockett, the sharp-tongued representative from Texas, shuffled through a stack of documents with laser focus. Her expression was calm, almost serene, but those who knew her recognized the telltale signs. She was hunting. "The committee will come to order," announced Chairman Johnson, his gavel echoing through the chamber. "Today we examine allegations of financial impropriety within the Trump Organization during the previous administration." Eric Trump sat at the witness table, adjusting his tie nervously. His usual confident demeanor seemed slightly strained as camera lights illuminated his face. Behind him, a gallery packed with reporters and Trump supporters created a wall of anticipation. "Mr. Trump," began Representative Collins, "thank you for appearing before this committee voluntarily." Eric leaned into the microphone. "Happy to be here, Congressman. I have nothing to hide." Several committee members took turns with standard questioning about tax records and business dealings. Eric deflected most inquiries with practiced ease, his responses peppered with phrases like, "I don't recall," and "that would be outside my purview." Then Jasmine Crockett's turn arrived. "Mr. Trump," she began, her voice steady and measured, "I want to talk about your role in the Bedminster Golf Club renovation project from 2021. Eric's posture stiffened slightly. "What about it?" "Well, according to these documents," Crockett held up a thick folder, "your signature appears on contractor agreements totaling $12.7 million. Yet the actual work performed was valued at only $4.2 million by independent assessors." I'm not sure I understand the question," Eric stammered. Crockett leaned forward. "Where did the extra $8.5 million go, Mr. Trump?" The chamber fell silent. Eric's lawyer whispered something in his ear, but Crockett continued before he could respond. "Because I have bank records showing that exact amount was transferred to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands, an account registered under the name E.T. Holdings." Eric's face flushed red. "I don't know anything about that." "E.T. Holdings," Crockett repeated slowly. "Eric Trump Holdings, perhaps?" "The same company that received payments from 3 other suspicious renovation projects at Mar-a-Lago, Trump Tower, Chicago, and the Doral Resort?" "Objection," shouted Eric's attorney. "My client is not on trial here." "No objection needed," Crockett replied calmly. "Just questions about public records and taxpayer-funded investigations." Eric gripped the edge of the witness table. "Those are legitimate business expenses." "Legitimate?" Crockett's eyebrows raised. "Mr. Trump, are you aware that funneling money through shell companies to avoid taxes is considered fraud?" "I am not avoiding taxes," Eric shot back, his voice rising. Crockett pulled out another document. "Then perhaps you can explain why E.T. Holdings filed a tax return showing zero income for 2021, despite receiving over $30 million in transfers from Trump Organization subsidiaries." The gallery erupted in murmurs. Republican committee members shuffled uncomfortably while Democrats leaned forward with interest. "I don't prepare the tax returns myself," Eric said weakly. "No, but you sign them," Crockett countered, "under penalty of perjury." Eric's lawyer frantically scribbled notes while whispering urgently in his client's ear, but Crockett wasn't finished. "Mr. Trump, I want you to look at this photograph." She held up a large print showing Eric shaking hands with a man in an expensive suit. "Do you recognize this person?" Eric squinted at the image. "I meet a lot of people." "That's Viktor Kozlov, a known associate of Russian oligarch Dmitry Volkov. This photo was taken at Mar-a-Lago on December 3, 2021, the same day E.T. Holdings received its largest deposit of the year, $15 million. The color drained from Eric's face. "I don't know who that is." "Really?" Crockett's voice carried a note of disbelief. "Because Mr. Kozlov's phone records show 17 calls to your personal cell phone in the weeks surrounding that meeting." Eric's hands began to tremble slightly. "I get a lot of calls." 17 calls about what, Mr. Trump?" I don't recall." Crockett stood up, commanding the room's attention. "Mr. Trump, are you telling this committee, under oath, that you don't remember having 17 conversations with a man who gave your shell company $15 million? The silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. Eric opened his mouth to speak, then closed it. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the cool chamber temperature. I need to consult with my attorney, Eric finally managed. Of course, Crockett said, settling back into her chair with a satisfied expression. Take all the time you need. The hushed conference between Eric and his attorney lasted 3 agonizing minutes. Camera operators zoomed in on Eric's increasingly pale complexion, while reporters in the gallery frantically typed updates on their phones. When Eric finally returned to the microphone, his voice cracked. I invoke my Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Interesting choice, Crockett replied, but I'm not done yet. She pulled out a final document, this one bearing official FBI letterhead. Mr. Trump, are you aware that the Federal Bureau of Investigation has been tracking ET holdings for the past 18 months as part of a money laundering investigation? Eric's attorney shot to his feet. Congresswoman, if there's an ongoing investigation, these questions are inappropriate. The investigation concluded yesterday, Crockett announced, her voice cutting through the chamber like a blade. And I have the executive summary right here. She held up the document dramatically. According to FBI findings, ET Holdings served as a conduit for washing money through Trump Organization properties. Money that originated from sanctioned Russian entities attempting to circumvent international banking restrictions. Eric gripped his chest, his breathing becoming labored. This is ridiculous. The FBI traced $47 million flowing through your shell company over a 2-year period. Crockett continued relentlessly. Money that should have triggered anti-money laundering protocols, but somehow didn't because certain bank officials were allegedly paid to look the other way. I can't. I need, Eric gasped, his face now ashen. Crockett leaned into her microphone for maximum impact. Mr. Trump, the FBI report concludes that you personally authorized these transactions and received a commission of 12% on each transfer. That makes you complicit in violating the Bank Secrecy Act, the Patriot Act, and federal sanctions against Russia. Eric stood abruptly, swaying on his feet. I didn't know. I swear I didn't know what the money was for. But you knew where it came from, Crockett pressed. You knew Viktor Kozlov represented Russian interests. You knew the transfers violated banking regulations. And you knew your father's political career could be destroyed if this information became public. Stop, Eric whispered, clutching the witness table for support. Crockett's voice rose triumphantly. That's why you tried to hide it. That's why you created the shell companies. And that's why you're sitting here today, caught red-handed with evidence that could send you to federal prison for 20 years. Eric's legs buckled. He collapsed backward into his chair, his head falling forward as he hyperventilated. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Medical personnel rushed forward as cameras captured every second of his breakdown. In a viewing room, several floors above, President Donald Trump watched the live coverage with growing horror, his face cycling through disbelief, rage, and finally devastating realization that his son had been completely exposed. The hearing room erupted in chaos as Eric was helped from his chair, still gasping for air. Jasmine Crockett remained seated, calmly organizing her papers, while history unfolded around her. Chairman Johnson gabbled frantically for order. The committee will recess pending medical evaluation of the witness. But the damage was done. Within minutes, news alerts flooded phones across America. Social media exploded with clips of Eric's collapse and Crockett's devastating questions. Legal experts began speculating about indictments, while political commentators declared it the most dramatic congressional hearing in decades. As Eric was escorted from the chamber on shaky legs, Jasmine Crockett finally allowed herself a small smile. She had spent months building this case, following paper trails and connecting dots that others missed. Today, truth had prevailed over privilege. The aftermath would dominate headlines for weeks. Federal prosecutors announced they would review the FBI report for potential charges. Congressional Republicans demanded investigations into how classified information was leaked. Democrats praised Crockett's thorough preparation and fearless questioning. But in that moment, as cameras captured the most powerful political family in America crumbling under the weight of evidence, Jasmine Crockett had achieved something remarkable. She had proven that in America, no one is above the law. What did you think of Jasmine Crockett's masterful takedown? Do you believe Eric Trump's reaction was genuine or calculated? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more explosive political stories that you won't see covered anywhere else. The truth always finds a way to surface, and we'll be here to bring it to you.